stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross. I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Said I might be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
Happy Friday, people. Tottenham away. We're back again. Our Friday show, myself and Matt. It's the beginning of the Euros. Finally, some football coming back to our TV so we can actually engage in some soccer, some football. Oh, man. It's needed. It's needed. We've been starved of watching some footy for a while. So, Euros start today. The transfer window officially opens today as well. There you go. A double whammy or a double goodie. In which way you look at it. So the transfer window is officially open today. The Euros begin today. Plenty to discuss as always. But before we get into that, Matt, how are you doing, brother?
Yeah, good, Stal. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Yeah, really good. And we've been starved of some football, so I'm looking forward to scouting some players and seeing who's hot and who's not. But yeah, looking forward to that. I think Scotland are going to be hard to beat, but you fancy Germany tonight.
Who's your favourites for the tournament, by the way?
France.
Yeah, my money's on France as well. Although, I think the Spanish are going a little bit below the radar. But, yeah, I think Big France. They look strong, don't they? They're a good side. You don't fancy England to do it?
I think we'll be there or thereabouts. I think we'll be semi-final, strike final, but nerves. Can we handle the nerves? On paper, we're as good as anything, but if you look at that France squad, you know, they strengthen that. You bring Saliba into that back four, and then, you know, they had the last time we played them in the semi-final, they had 3 or 4 players.
Well, didn't they? Isn't that Sober French?
Yeah. They've got some unbelievable. I think 3 of the Real Madrid players are French as well, aren't they? The 2 guys in midfield. So yeah, they've got some good players.
The Dutch as well. They're going below the radar. I don't think the thing is with the Dutch, they always seem to bottle it when it gets to that kind of latter stage. They just choke. They don't get it over the line. They've got a history of doing that. They're a bit like Spurs, actually. The Dutch are just like
don't know
Spurs.
Who's going to score goals. Who's going to score goals for Holland?
Yeah, I know, but they've got good midfielders though. They've got good midfielders.
Good midfielders. If you put Van Dijk and Van der Ven together, that's formidable. That's a formidable back two. Dumfries on the right. They've got some good players, but who's going to score goals? That's what I'm not sure about for Holland. Look at Portugal. The Portugal squad on paper is incredible. I didn't realise how many players were Portuguese.
I think Portugal, Holland, and Spain are probably going a little bit below the radar. Most people are saying, England, Germany, but I don't know. We'll see. Listen, we'll see. Tournament football, anything's possible. Let's quickly say hello to everyone in the chat. We've got Tony Rodriguez, big up. Eugene. Hello, Lisa. Bertie Hotspur, Harmless Potato. Rob's in the house. Jano71, Mappin, Norman, big up to all of you guys. Ryan, we've got the Mighty Cockerel, big up. Benjamin, Elias, Colin, Moshire, how are you doing? We've got Fenland, John Loudson's in the house. Who else have we got? Hasper's in the building. Guys, welcome. Rudy Toot, Bad Gnasha. Hello, how are you? Welcome, everyone. Smash the like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if that's your thing. If not, then don't do it. Before we begin, as always, well, not as always, recently, just to remind everyone, there is a vote. We would like you to vote. Please vote for us. We're trying to win an award so that we can get up on the stage and do a leave you out chant. I actually don't care about the award. I just want to go leave you out in front of everyone. And these are the 2 boxes we'd ask you to tick on the form, and then hopefully it gets us in contention. What I'll do, I will also put a link at the top of the description. I'll put a link at the top of the comments. I'll pin it to the top. You'll also be able to find the link just there. But I'll quickly post in the comments, which I've just done, and I'll pin it to the top. If you haven't done it already, please do so. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. No worries. All right. Let's get on it. Let's get on with it with the Spurs. So the big news this week, Matt, finally, after £65 million worth of transfer fee, £250,000 worth of wages a week, he's off. It is bye-bye Ndombele. Ndombele. Well, don't say that. Ndombele's off. This is pretty much a disastrous transfer overall, isn't it? And we're having to pay off part of his contract as well, wages to get him out of the club. But he's agreed to it as well, thankfully. But Matt spent £65 million for him. We are not going to get a single penny back. What do you make of it all?
Look, I think I personally was really excited when we signed him. I watched him play in the Champions League against Man City, and he looked the best player on the pitch. But looking back, there's potentially a reason why none of the other clubs signed him. Because at the time I was thinking, why haven't Man City signed him? He was man of the match in both legs in that game, and I thought Spurs breaking a transfer record to get Tanguy. There was no Man United. There was no Real Madrid. There was no Barcelona in for him. And maybe when they done their research, maybe they found something that Tottenham didn't find out. And when I looked back at his bio, it said that I think he started at the top division in France, and he was kicked out at 17 or 18 for being overweight. And he went down to what we would call the Championship in the French league, got his career back on track, and then got the move to Lyon. So he's had this topsy-turvy career, and unfortunately we bought the bottom end of his career where he went back to being slightly overweight and not disciplined. So yeah, it's just one of those. It just hasn't worked out. But we're not in special situations here. You know, Man United have spent big money on players that haven't worked out. Arsenal spent how much money on the, can't think of his name now. The
Anthony?
guy that went Arsenal.
Oh.
Who's the Arsenal record signing?
Pepe. He was 70-something million and didn't work out. So look, the end of the day, it gets the headlines because of it's technically a free transfer, but every club makes mistakes, and this is an expensive one. But we're dining at that table still, and you can't get them all right. What Tottenham have to show is if they are genuinely a big club, the other clubs go again. Chelsea have spent 58 million on that Latvia, Romeo, whatever his name is. Mate, Chelsea are a different league to everything else. Since this new owner's come in, under Abramovich, it was a well-organised, well-oiled machine. It made sense. This new owner is completely off the charts. Like, we've never seen anything like this in football before. I mean, the fact that Gary Neville called them the blue £1 billion bottle jobs in the cup final, that sums it up. When do you ever hear a commentator speak like that about a football club? But I don't think we can compare anyone to Chelsea, because they are an anomaly. They're completely unique in what they're doing to any club we've seen in world football before. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's stupidity as well, man. Stupidity.
Yeah, I think Chelsea have spent a lot of money on players, and it hasn't worked, and they're still at the football club. So I think what Tottenham have to show is we're now at that level. You go again. It's a mistake. It's a lot of money, but we're supposed to be a big football club. We're not immune to debt. We're not immune to losses. But ultimately, if you're a big football club, you make a record transfer, which was in 2019, by the way, you go again. That you're a big football club. You're not Rotherham. You're not Hartlepool. You're Tottenham Hotspur. So surely, not saying you have to spend 65 million every transfer window, but what I'm saying is you go again. You identify the player and you go and get that level of player. Again, you're a big football club. It's the industry. Daniel Levy-Enoch, that's on the ticket. You sign big players.
Can I question something you said there? Are we a big football club, or are we a big business? Because big football clubs, and we don't do that anymore. It's been 3 decades.
Yeah, we're a big football club in regards to the whole mechanics of that. You know, the infrastructure, the size of the stadium, the fan base. So we're a big football club, but we have to work out what is the next step for Tottenham.
Newcastle, are Newcastle a big football club then? Because they've got a big stadium.
They're becoming a big football club because not only have they got a big stadium, they've got a big fan base.
How many trophies have they ever won? Like, hardly any.
Yeah, but I was just going to finish by saying they've now got the collateral to support the size of the fan base and the size of the football club. So PSR is now going to make it incredibly slow for them to kind of match the trophy cabinet. But most of the pieces are in place for Newcastle now to be a big football club. But this isn't 2003 when Abramovich took over. There are so many strict regulations in place which are going to slow down Newcastle's acceleration. But theoretically, Newcastle are a big football club. It's just going to be a lot slower for them to get where they need to get to. Tottenham are a big football club. History, size of football club at the moment, fan base. The one thing that is lacking in Tottenham is when we get to semi-finals and when we get to finals, can we get over the line? And the reason we can't is we don't have the depth of squad. When we're playing on a Tuesday and Wednesday and we're playing on a Saturday, it shows.
I don't think we're a big football club anymore. I think we're in that bracket, same as Everton, Villa, Leeds, where we were regarded as big once. I think now what we are is we're big business. I think when it comes to business,
that's true.
But in terms of a football club, I don't think we're a big club anymore. I think just in our head, because we've got this big stadium and the fact that we got invited to that European breakaway league, we were the only team that got into that on the basis of income and architecture, not trophies or success, which I kind of found a bit of a joke. But yeah, I think until we start winning trophies again, I don't think we really are a big club anymore. Matt. I think we're just we're not small. We're not a small club. I think we're just we're below big club status. I think you've got super club, which are like your Real Madrids, Bayern Munich's. You probably put Liverpool, Man United in there. Then you've got the levels below, the Chelseas, the Arsenals. In Italy, what we're thinking, maybe a Napoli, something like that. I'm trying to think what other clubs are based in Spain. Atletico Madrid, are they a super club? No, they're a big club. I'd say they're a big club. Then you've got the clubs below that. I think Tottenham are there. So we're not a super club. We're not big. We're below. We want to be big, but we're not until we win trophies. Like again, because we stopped doing it. Is that fair to say, or is that a bit harsh?
I think you're somewhere in the middle. I think I understand the point about the business. I understand that, and Daniel Levy has masterminded the increase in what Tottenham have become as a visual entity. He's masterminded that. If he leaves Tottenham tomorrow, he's already a wealthy man. He will be an extremely wealthy man when he leaves Tottenham. So his focus is on that side of the football club as opposed to the pitch. And that's clear to see. So I think, we've had this conversation 101 times and it will continue. Daniel Levy's focus is off the pitch, not on the pitch. And until he is removed, relinquished, whatever word you want to call it, we will continue to have this conversation. I've said to you before, it's one of these toxic relationships. It's just one of those relationships. You're in a relationship with something that you're putting in more than what you're getting back. It's a difficult love relationship.
Some people call it abuse.
Yeah. Abusive relationship it is. It is, but we keep coming back still. We keep going back. It's the club we love. What do you do? What
are you called if you're in an abusive relationship but you keep going back to it? What are you? Are you
a fool?
It's got to be a fool, or is there a medical word for this? Is there a medical condition for this? There must be. There must be a medical condition that can diagnose us. We've got a big up to Elias, member of the channel for over 1 year now. He says Tanguy and Ndombele, good riddance. Next, I don't want to ever see Chicken Royale play for the team, followed by Brian Hill, Ben Davies, Oliver Skip, Richarlison. All need to go away. Elias, I think most fans will probably agree with what you've just said. I don't see anyone arguing too much with that. Maybe some would argue the Richarlison one, but Stockholm syndrome. There we go. Let's call it that. We'll go with some people say mug. There's quite a few say mug. Oh my God, we're mugs. All righty. The other news, although there's contradictory news to suggest that it's not true, but we don't know. And then there was another piece of information that said the club are considering it. So what news am I talking about? Well, Tammy Abraham's. Tottenham Hotspur continue their shopping spree in Italy this summer with Roma's Tammy Abraham emerging as the North London's next target. Matt, now, this isn't guaranteed. This isn't anything concrete. It's not factual. It is rumours, but there's some journalists saying it's true, some other journalists saying it's not true, some saying the club are considering it. Now, let's go on the assumption it's true. Okay, let's just go on that assumption and just remind everyone it is an assumption, not fact. If we do sign him, is this alarm bells? Because if we're rebuilding an attack, we've already brought in Timo Werner, which a lot of us are against. If we bring in Tammy as well, what do you make of that? Or do you think this is potentially a really good signing and we're unearthing a player that just people have forgotten about who's actually quite good?
I think this goes back to what I said a couple of weeks ago in one of our chats about September the 1st. Tammy Abraham's, if Tammy Abrahams is the number 9, depression addict, I like it. If Tammy Abrahams is the number 9, then we've got a problem because he's coming from a serious operation. He's missed a year of football.
Yeah,
and
he's missed a whole season. Yeah, you're right.
He's missed a year. It's Bentancur. It's basically signing a Bentancur that's missed a year of football, and you're hoping. Go on.
I was going to say Bentancur actually looked quite good for us before he got injured. Has Tammy Abraham ever looked consistently good?
He had a good season before at Roma. When I say good season, I think he got 15 goals, I believe, for Roma, something like that. But if we had Kane, and I know this is a default set, but if we had Kane and then you go and buy Tammy Abrahams, you say, decent. Kane's your focal point, your main man. Tammy Abraham comes in on a Tuesday night, gives Kane a rest after an hour, the game's won, and you give Tammy Abraham some minutes. No problem. But if you leave and don't have Harry Kane, you've got Richarlison, who you'd have to say in the 2 seasons has been injury prone. And then you're signing a player that's missed a year of football as the additional number 9. We're in trouble. We're in trouble.
And then you factor in the Spurs medical department. It just gets better and better. I didn't think of it that way. Look at the injuries we've had to existing strikers. It's true. And Son's not getting any younger. My worry is Tammy Abraham coming in as a starter? Is he coming in as a backup to Richarlison because Richarlison's going to be our main number 9? Because if we bring in Tammy Abrahams and we keep Richie, that's already 2 strikers at the club. Surely we're not going to have 3. Or are we?
Well, as I say, I would hope come September, we've got the go-to man. And obviously, you can't replace Harry Kane. But if you said Ivan Toney, let's just say, and you put your mortgage on him as your number 9, and then a week before the transfer window ends, Tammy Abraham comes in for 17 million, you say, fine. And then you give him minutes as and when. But come the first game of the season, Ivan Toney's your number 9. I've got no problem with Tammy Abrahams. He's English. If he can get any sort of fitness back, he's an option. But if the front line consists of Timo Werner, Richarlison, Tammy Abrahams, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson,
and Solomon.
Mana Solomon. That's a busy injury department.
That is a championship front 3. That is Matt.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm going to say it straight. I don't want Tammy Abrahams anywhere near this football club. I don't care what little purple patch he's had in his career. I don't care what he's done under any manager. I watched him in the Premier League at Chelsea. No, thank you. And the fact he's got injuries as well, no, thank you even more. This is not why we built a £1 billion stadium. So we can sign Timo Werner, and then the second signing is to sign Tammy Abraham. It is absolutely laughable. I'm hoping this is one of those stories that's just out there for clicks and likes and subscribes. I'm hoping it's one of those stories just to stir it up. But if there's any truth in this, and we see this guy at Spurs, Matt, honestly, I might just auction my season ticket. There's only so much I can take. I mean,
we would be incredibly short.
Matt, we'll be bantered by everyone. Do you know what? We'll start getting bantered from teams that are mid-table. Man United apparently are bidding for Braithwaite. Elise apparently is going Chelsea. And we're talking about Tammy Abrahams at Spurs. And we're the ones with all the FFP collateral, all the PSR strength.
And we've recruited a recruitment team that have spent, since they joined, looking at players. And if the end product is Timo Werner and Tammy Abrahams, some serious questions have to be asked. Serious questions.
Good night, sweet Irene, right? Good night, sweet Irene.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm hoping this is silly season. You know, who's next? Batshuayi? We might as well throw Michy Batshuayi in there as well. You know, who else are we looking at? We might as well.
Any other Chelsea rejects that
why not?
You want to be linked to?
Why not?
Jesus Christ. Let's hope it's one of those stupid stories that just circulates.
Silly season. Let's hope.
Exactly. Another player who isn't coming in, but it looks like he's going out for sure. Genoa have apparently bid for Jed Spence. Now, whether we agree to the fee or not, we don't know. Negotiations are going on between the clubs. It's now up to Spurs with the final decision. Look, I think, Matt, even if it's not quite the price we want, sell him. Yes, you should maximize revenue. Yes, you should get the best deal. But if no one else wants him, we need to get him off our books. We need to free up some cash so we can invest into players that we actually want. Hopefully not Tammy Abrahams. But I'm all for him leaving, Matt. Are you? Conte came out and said it was a club signing. He never wanted him. Fans turned on Conte for saying these kinds of things. Well, it turns out that Ange doesn't want him either. So should we just let him go? Free the lad, let him play football?
Yeah, I think this is one that you call by mutual consent. I think, you know, he's been at Tottenham now 2 seasons. He's not featured. He's not fancied. Yeah, I think you just shake hands and say, this hasn't worked out. I still think there's a Premier League player in there. Whether he's a top 6 footballer, I doubt. But it wouldn't surprise me in a year or 2 if he ends up at a Fulham and has a okay Premier League career. But yeah, it hasn't worked out. Let's call it a draw, shake hands, and move on to the next target.
Another player looks like he might be on his way out. Lancashire. Middlesbrough holding talks to Spurs to sign Lancashire. We signed him from Sheffield United. He's one of our academy players. We bought him in for $2 million. There's also interest from other European clubs. Now, I've been saying for a long time now, and I feel people just don't listen to what I say. Fair enough. I'm not forcing anyone to listen, but I get to go to Hotspur Way. I get to speak to the coaches at Spurs and the recruitment officers. I get to speak to the academy director, rarely, but I speak. And I told everyone a long time ago, there is no plans for our kids next season. They don't think they're good enough. The coaches, myself, I disagree. I think there's some that should be given a chance, and because that's the only way you know. But this is the decision that's coming from the highest level of the academy, and Ange agrees. So the only one, realistically, we're going to see break into the squad next season, and I've said it again and again and again, is Bergvall. But he's not really an academy player. We bought him in. He's still out on loan. He comes back to us, and then, okay, he'll be classed as an academy player, but he's not a player we developed. We bought him. So in terms of youth, let me not say academy, in terms of youth, he's the only one really that's going to get a look in. Phillips ain't going to get a look in. Santiago isn't going to get a look in. Mikey Moore's too young. He's probably 2 years away. So don't expect him to play. Alfie Devine, his loan period was not too great, so he's probably regressed. And I stick to what I've said all along. There is no plan for our academy. It's a myth. All the conversation, the chat, all the ITKs that talk about, oh, this kid's going to do this, and it's absolute nonsense. I've heard it from the horse's mouth, and I keep repeating it. I'm not surprised by this. I'm not surprised at all. Do I agree with it? No. But what do you make of it?
Unless I'm mistaken,
yeah,
his contract runs till 2026.
Lancashire's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so.
So he's got a contract at Tottenham to 2026. So unless I'm mistaken, if this is any truth to Middlesbrough, it's a loan. So I'm a little bit confused why there's been a bit of a meltdown in some of the social media that I've looked at within the Tottenham fan base, because he's only going, if he does go, he's only going alone. So surely,
I don't know if it's a loan or a sale, Matt. I don't know if it's a loan or a sale.
So the snippets I've got from people within Spurs on social media have said Tottenham have no interest in a permanent sale of Lancashire. So
that I don't know. So if it's a loan deal, then listen again. He's not playing for Spurs, and this is what I mean. He's now at that age where 19.
He's 19, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I just keep it simple. He's 19. He's looked very good at the levels that he's played at. Every time he stepped up, he's answered. The next part of his development is to go and play men's football in a league that matters. So perfect part of his development is to go to the Championship at whatever the club and go and play meaningful football. That's nothing to see here. I think it's just a loan.
I think if we're not going to play any of these kids, we should loan all of them. But my only issue with loaning them is loan them at a level where they're actually going to become men. There's no point sending players to Division 2. For what? Send them to minimum Championship. It's got to be minimum Championship, if possible, Premier League.
I'll use this example, Stel.
And then by 21, 22, you've got to make a decision on them. You can't keep holding them around the club.
Example, Stel.
Then you're stifling their career. Matt,
Saliba went out on loan for 3 seasons. Arsenal loaned him out for 3 seasons. So I'm not saying that Lancashire or we've got anybody that's going to become a Saliba, but I think the whole point of signing young players and having young players is to develop them. And if they're not ready for the first team, send them out to their skill set, whether that's Championship or whatever, and get them to play meaningful football. And then hopefully, whatever the age, they come back, Danny Rose, Kyle Walker, they're ready for the first team.
I'm back in 1 minute.
No problem. So for me, I just think it's a loan. I don't know if this is lazy journalism by suggesting it's Middlesbrough and it's a permanent signing, but he's got a contract for another 2 seasons at Tottenham. I don't think there's any panic about us losing him permanently. Surely it's just a loan. Maybe a break clause in January, but it's a loan. Michael Carrick plays open, expansive football, how Middlesbrough play, which is a little bit like how Tottenham play. For me, it makes sense. Send him to Middlesbrough. Let's see how we get some.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree, but my point is, fans were all saying, "Oh, these kids are all going to be in the team next season. Now we've got Europe and domestic cups and league. We need to rotate." And I've been saying, no, we're not. The fact we signed Timo Werner should tell you we're not going to bring in a young academy player, because that is a space for an academy player. And likewise with Lancashire, him going out on loan, yeah, I'd rather he's out on loan than sit around just playing under 21s football. I think that's the right thing to do. But my issue with it all, Matt, is it's so important they get loaned out to a team that's going to develop them. I've often tried to explain the hardest part of a player's football pathway is the bridge from youth to adult. When you're 8, 9, 10, listen, if you stand out because you're quicker, stronger, faster, better at shooting, better at turning, better at reading the game, there's something about you where you stand out amongst the rest, you're going to get scouted. Once you're in, you're now amongst lots of players like that. So you've got to step up again and shine, otherwise you get released. It's a conveyor belt, in, out, in, out. But once you get to that 16, 17, 18, now you're looking for a professional career. This is where you're now saying to a football club, pay me thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds a week to play this game. That is the hardest part, because now from all that institutionalized youth phase of development, you've now got to jump and play adult football where 62,000 people were swearing at you, shouting at you. You've got the opposition looking to kick lumps out of you. Hold on. This is a bit different to that youth football that I went through. There's similarities, but this is very different. And that's the hardest jump. So for me, if you're going to bridge that gap, there's no point going on loan to Darlington Rovers. There's no point going on loan to some team in Division 2 if you're at Spurs, right? You've got to go and play at a not a ridiculously high level, but Championship or lower league, Premier League. If you look at Kyle Walker-Peters, look at his loan deals. He's now a player that is an established Championship Premier League player. You look at Oliver Skip. We might not rate him, but he's an established Premier League player. He went on loan where? Norwich for the Championship. So it all depends where he goes on loan. If he goes on loan to Middlesbrough, that's probably a good deal. That's probably a good signing.
Yeah, they play, they get the ball out, they roll it out to their defenders, they play through the midfield, the wingers get up the pitch. So they play a style of football that is similar to Tottenham. Now, for me, I think it would be a very good loan deal for him to develop his game. Because there's parts of his game that he needs to improve on. He's admitted that himself. He looks physically a specimen, but he's got to learn the rigors of men's football. 2 games a week, all the challenges that come with that, the pressures, the highs and lows of being a professional footballer. Those are parts of his game that he's only going to learn by actually playing. So he would be in the same company as Harry Kane and all these other youngsters that went out on loan to learn their trade. You could argue that Harry Kane wasn't a roaring success at Leicester and Norwich and all these other clubs he went to. He came back. The right manager came in, which was Tim Sherwood, that believed in him. Then Pochettino came in immediately after and believed in him. His career took off. So it's a combination of things with the youngster to whether they're going to be a success. But the kid needs to want to be a success himself. The brief things I've read on him, he sounds like he's grounded. He wants to be the best person that he can be. So I just don't think there's anything to see here. I just think let's send him out alone. Let's keep a keen eye on him. Hopefully he hits the ground running and we've got ourselves a future number 9 for Tottenham Hotspur.
Talking about number 9s for Tottenham Hotspur, this is a player we've been linked with a few times, Matt Jimenez. I spoke about him with the guys on Monday. Looking at his stats over the last 2 seasons, he's played roughly 30 games per season the last 2 years. He scored 15 goals 2 seasons ago, 23 goals last season, and that's in the Dutch league. He got 6 assists this year, 2 last year, so he's improved on last season. In terms of the cup, he scored 3 goals 2 years ago, none this year. That's the domestic cup in Holland. In Europe, he played 2 matches. He scored 1 goal. The year before, he played 9 matches and scored 5 goals. In the Champions League, he played 4 matches and scored 2 goals. So he scores 1 in every 2 games in Europe. And in the domestic league, he scores one in every 66% of the time he scores. But that's the Dutch league. So I think the European league's probably a better judge. And he does score in Europe. He's got this season, he scored 3 in 6. So is this a player you'd like to see at Spurs? I mean, it splits opinion because people say he plays in the Farmers League. When I've watched him, I think his first touch is sublime. I think he beats the man and he buys himself space on the first touch. And it's not just the first touch on the foot, on the thigh, the shoulder, the head. He's one of those players, before the ball comes, he knows what he's going to do. And he's got the technical ability to pull it off. His weakness is that, he's not the fastest player, but nor was Teddy Sheringham. Can he find the back of the net? Yes. Is he as prolific as some? No. But he's young. He's a young player. I don't know if there's better out there in Europe, Matt, that we can actually buy that's going to come to Spurs. That's how I'm looking at it.
We could do worse than sign him. For me, I'm in either camp. If we get him, I'll be like, yeah, I'm happy with that. If we don't get him and we bring in an Ivan Toney, I'd also be happy with that. So the list of attackers, which I'm being led to believe that we've drawn up a list of potential targets, he's on that list. And you work your way. You work your way down the list on who you can get. So let's see. I heard a whisper that I think not Liverpool. There's a lazy link with Liverpool because of Arne Slot, and also Arsenal. After Sesko signed a new contract, that Arsenal had switched their attention to him as well. So, yeah, for me, if we get him, great. If we don't, so be it.
A group of players that keep appearing in discussion. Some we're linked to, some it's just conversation amongst fans, I think, more than actual solid links. And that is Eze, Edison, Gallagher, and Ivan Toney. So, Matt, out of those 4, would you take all 4? Or would you take 3? Would you take 2, 1? And if so, who?
I mean, this is kind of fantasy island. I mean, look, if we could get all 4, great. Tottenham are not in a position to turn down any of those 4. For me, they would. If
we're a big club, if we're a big club, then you go for all 4. Well,
listen,
would you take all 4, Matt? Would you?
I would take all 4. I'd take all 4. Yeah. I'm not. I think he's got that tenacity. He's got that never say die attitude that I sometimes question with some of the Tottenham players. Tottenham look good when it's going their way. I'm not sure how many Tottenham players, when it's not going their way, can switch it back on track. I think he's got that desire to want to recover and not accept no. Yeah, I don't think he's the most technically gifted of footballers, but yeah, I think he's decent. I think he's that missing. He's got the that driving midfield that I think we're lacking at times. We seem to lack that drive in the midfield.
Yeah, but wouldn't Bentancur give us that?
Of course, yeah, but look, he's coming back from one very serious ACL injury, and then his second.
He came back from that months ago. Now, how long does this excuse? Not excuse. How long are we going to say he's coming off an injury? When's the cut-off point where we say, listen, you're not injured anymore. You're all right. You're just playing crap.
But there's a difference between being fit and match fit, and he's going through that process of adapting himself and getting himself back into the level that he was before. And that's something that's hard to explain unless you know, when you've had those level of injuries, the serious injuries, an ACL is a serious injury. There's a reason that you're out of football for 10 or 11 months. So it's not like FIFA that you just put them back in and they're back at 92% efficiency. You have to build up your belief, your confidence to deal with the rigors of the Premier League. It's the most ferocious, fastest, demanding league in the world. So it doesn't just click into place. If it did, you know, it would be too easy. It's a very demanding league style. So again, a little bit of snippets I've read. The medical people supposedly said that they wasn't expecting Bentancur to hit the levels until the season that's about to start in August. So why not have Gallagher? Why not? It's competition for places. Have Gallagher and Bentancur. We're a big football club. Have both of them.
I'm not convinced by Gallagher, personally speaking. I think the way we want to play football, 1-2 touch, keep possession of the ball, move it quickly. I don't think that's his game. I don't think that's the kind of midfielder that suits us. But let's see what they do. I'd definitely take Eze. He's a massive improvement on what we've got. Tony, he's a massive improvement on the strikers we've got. And Ederson, yeah, he's a proper number 6. We don't really have one, so you'd say yes to that as well. Say yes to that as well. Gallagher's the only one I'm not sure.
They're upgrades on what we've got at the moment. And what it does, though, is it sends a message to the dressing room. When you go and put your boots on and you look to your left and you've got Ivan Toney and you look to your right and you've got Ederson, everybody has to raise their level, because if they don't, they won't play. That's how you pick your 11. The competition raises. It's not about anything else. It's just that if I don't play well, he's got my shirt. Van der Ven come in and didn't ask about Dyer. He didn't ask about Romero. His performances guaranteed his shirt. The rest falls into place. That's what Tottenham have got to get to. Your performances will dictate whether you start or not. Not your name, not how much you cost, your performances.
Yeah, that's how it should be. It should always be performance related. But then again, we've also shot players to pieces. I remember this last season, Kulusevski had 1 or 2 good games in a row, and then we dropped him. And then we bring in, I think it was Brennan or someone. And then we wonder why Kulu went to pieces. And I think, well, we do have a bad habit of not keeping that momentum. But anyway, I agree with you. Performance should decide whether you play or not. This was a news feed I saw on Sky Sports when was it? A couple of, last week. 6 Premier League clubs are facing to have to sell players before the end of June to comply with profit and sustainability rules. Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle, Everton, Forest, and Leicester City are the clubs who are listed. Chelsea seem to just get away with it because they're selling off assets to the owner's company.
Hasn't been ratified yet, though, has it?
It hasn't. They're playing a dangerous game, but as it stands, they're getting away with it. But Matt, the reason I brought that up, will Spurs take advantage of this? Because if you look at some of those teams there, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Newcastle, you would say are direct competition for us in terms of league places. And will we take advantage of not being on that list and going and signing quality players? Because some of the players we've been linked with is shocking. The player we've signed so far, shocking. Will Spurs take advantage, Matt?
We have to remember the owner that we've got and the business model that we've got, which would suggest less likely. I'm hoping, I'm praying that there'll be more Van der Vens and the Dojis that come through the door than Timo Werners. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping and praying. I don't know if this is part of the abusive relationship, but I'm just hoping that it's more Van der Ven.
I'm just so not inspired at the moment. I need to see some magic happen. We were saying on Monday that with the Euros starting now, there's probably not going to be any business during the Euros because players are playing and whatnot, and they're focused on their international duty, not so much their club business. And Lee was saying that the business needs to be done now. Surely they've got it all lined up. Start doing it this week. Nothing's happened. So it looks to me like the business is going to happen when July pre-season starts, and we're probably gonna not get business done early. But then again, no club's really doing business early. So it's not just us; it's the whole league.
You would like to think, Stal, that obviously these are paid professionals that are there to recruit, and surely meetings upon meetings must have happened throughout the season about where Tottenham are short, whose contracts are running out, whose contracts are not being renewed. So surely those targets must have been identified, and initial talks must have happened with their agent and whatever else about how about would he be interested in A, B, and C. So I would like to think, we'd be 30-40% down the road on negotiations with whoever our targets are. I don't think it's like Friday transfer window opens and it's, I'm Matt from Tottenham Hotspur. Are you interested in? I would hope those conversations happened in December and February and March. So, it's kind of worrying that Timo Werner comes in because it just appears to be a lazy deal. It was a low hanging fruit. Timo Werner, it was just low hanging fruit. There weren't 8 clubs scrambling to sign Timo Werner. Do you know what I mean? And that's my worry. It's like, when are we going to really show intent? When are we really going to flex our muscles and say, no matter what, we're signing that player? When are we going to do that?
Well, this is what we're waiting for, isn't it? That's what a lot of Spurs fans get wound up and fed up of after so many years and the promises of the stadium build and the FFP rules. That's what we're waiting to see. If it's not this summer, then I don't. Mind you, though, we said that about Conte. If we don't do it for Conte, who are we going to do it for? So I just don't know. I don't know, Matt. But the transfer window has only opened today, so like I've been saying, nothing's going to get done till after the Euros. I just don't believe things are going to get done now. Guys watching the show, today is a bit of a shorter show because I've got appointments I need to get to, hence why we start at 4 o'clock today, not 5 o'clock. I had to bring it a bit forward. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to some questions that have been put online for us. We'll go through the questions and then we'll wrap it up. So the first question here comes from okay. If we've already covered your question, I'm not going to go over it again because some of the questions you put we've actually discussed already tonight. Okay, so Joshua Pereira says, since you've talked about being a coach, okay, I guess this is directed to me. I would like to know if you've ever had a player like Ndombele in terms of talent and attitude. How did you approach coaching this player? And a question for the panel: how would you approach dealing with Ndombele if you were in the coach's position? For me, I've had many a player with an attitude issue. The younger they are, the better, because there's less baggage and there's less bad habits installed. So if you've got a player who's 28, 29 with a bad attitude, forget it. If you've got a player, well, not forget it, but it's one hell of a task. But if you've got a player who's late teens, early 20s, you just got to manage behavior. And the way I did it was I would install. I used to do attitude, hard work, teamwork, reward. So, what does a good attitude look like? Look, what does a bad attitude look like? And I'd visualize it. And then I'd use players as an example. So, Harry Kane, great attitude. Bad attitude, for example, Joey Barton, right? Good attitude. Trying to think of a player. Thierry Henry. Bad attitude. Balotelli. Right. So that's what a good one looks like. Because it's all good and well saying your attitude's wrong. Well, you've got to show people what good attitude looks like and relate it to what they're doing, which is football, and show them what a bad attitude looks like. And then you show the stories that surround it and say, look, which one do you want? 9 times out of 10, they'll lean on the good attitude. So once you keep reminding them of that, and then you need to keep going back to it when they underperform, you've got to bring them in and say to them, why do you think you're not playing well today? Why do you think you're underperforming? And then you go back to the attitude and say, well, what would you give your attitude out of 10? And if they say, 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 6 out of 10, right? Well, how do we get it to a 9 or 10? And then after attitude comes hard work. You're not going to work hard unless you've got the right attitude. That's why hard work comes after. And then it's teamwork. You're not going to be a team player unless you work hard for the team. So attitude has always come first. Psychology is 80% of success in business, in sports. It's 80%. Attitude, then it's hard work, then a team player. And if you get them right and you're performing 9s out of 10s, the reward will come. It could be a case that their attitude's good, the hard work's good, but the teamwork isn't there. So you don't need to work on their attitude or the team or their hard work. It's why aren't you playing as a team? You're working hard. And that's where you've got to get to know the player. That's how I did it. When it didn't work, you've got to get them out of the club because they're toxic. If it doesn't work, you must remove them, even if they're the best player at the club. They have to go. I know Arteta calls it non-negotiables, but he's right. It's non-negotiable. You can't have it. It's toxicity. It damages the camp. That's how I used to deal with it. Matt, after that, how would you deal with it, Matt? What would you do?
I've never coached. So I would like to think that it should come from within. You know, it should be every youngster's dream to play professional football and all the trappings and all the rewards and successes that comes with it. But obviously, everybody has a slightly different journey on how they get to become a footballer. And I remember watching Adel Taarabt play for Tottenham, and he did things in his little cameos, and I just thought, what have we got here? But he couldn't put it all together. He just could not put it all together. And you stumble on loan, and he goes out on loan somewhere else, and then it becomes a confidence issue. And I put Ndombele in that Adel Taarabt category of some of the most gifted natural ability, but struggles with adversity, disappointment. They don't have that that character to come back from an upset or a lack of playing time. And it's I won't say a shame, because people will say he earns £200,000 a week, but hopefully one day he'll sit down and just think, what if? And there's countries full of them. We've all played sport or whatever it is, musician or an actor, just naturally gifted at what they do. Don't have to think about it. Even in class, they just naturally pick up maths, see it. How's he done that? But they just kind of play it. They just can't play it, where you get the person that studies and studies and studies, and they go and have the successful career. We've all been in a classroom with naturally gifted people. So I'm not sure how I would try and draw that out of them. That's a difficult question. I'm not a coach, but I'd like to think it comes from within. And if you look at your Frank Lampard, people say,
coach, Matt. Your job as a coach, Matt, though, your job as a coach is to draw that out of them. So you can see the talent is there, you can see the abilities there, but your job is to make them see it and to get them to apply it. So the way I did it was to try and make them visualize. Everything's a state of mind. If you focus on the right things, listen, focus is linked to feeling, is linked to emotion, is linked to state of mind. It's all psychology. if you focus on bad things, do you know what? Bad things probably going to happen because you're looking for more bad things. If you focus on good things, chances are more good things will happen. Of course, not everything's in your control, but what you've got to do is make them visualize it. And that's where they should begin to shift their focus. So you've got to give them examples, maybe even put them in the environment of it. If we go back 30, 40 years, you probably throw a football boot at them. You might even hit them around the head with a broom, right? You know, the old school of hard knocks. But nowadays, you just can't do it. They've grown up in a digital era. They're not made of what maybe our generation were made of.
Yeah.
So that's essentially how we did it. And do you know what? I guarantee you, every manager Ndombele's had, they've tried. And the reality is it hasn't worked, which means get out. You've got to go. And I did say that. If it doesn't work, you've got to get them out because the whole camp gets disrupted. And anyway, it is what it is. Next question. Let's have a look what we've got here. Okay. This is from Phil2109. As Spurs enter another transfer window, my thoughts are that we as a club will drag out transfers as our ownership believes that the transfer market is a game of one-upmanship, allowing other teams to swoop in and get the deals done. Do you think that might happen with the likes of Eze and other potential transfers? Matt, I'll let you answer this one first because I've just got to go for 30 seconds.
I think we had a period under Levy where he used to wait to the last minute of a transfer window when unearthed Gem and Van der Vaarts and I think we signed Aaron Lennon for £1 million when Leeds had got relegated and there was in financial difficulty. So he had a period where his style of who blinks first worked, and we used to catch people with their pants down and we get Kyle Walker. Don't forget, we signed Kyle Walker and Kyle Norton for £4 million, and everybody knew Kyle Walker was the gem, but we somehow got Kyle Norton as part of the deal. So I think agents and directors of footballs and owners have got smart to how Daniel Levy operates, and they're no longer blinking first. So it's a worry because we've got now a list of players that we've missed out on where we were first in the queue. The player had agreed to join Tottenham, but Levy, with his typical low balling and attrition of nerves, we've missed out. Grealish, Bruno Fernandes, Sadio Mane, the list goes on, Sergio Aguero. We'd agreed deals with these players before Man City, before Liverpool, but Levy effing around allowed other clubs to come in, deals done. So that's the worry now. This kind of, I've reduced the instalment fees, or I want this at the last minute, or I want to change that at the last minute. Clubs are saying he's going to Liverpool tomorrow. So we are struggling now to conclude some of those deals because of Levy's tactics, and that's what's worrying me now, that the speed of how, or the lack of speed to sign players. Yes, Dragerson worked out at the end, but we very nearly missed out on Dragerson by piddling about before Bayern Munich came to the table. So that's a concern. Stan?
Yeah. I'm just looking at the next question. There's no name. It's one of those fake accounts, but it's a good question. In your opinion, which players in our starting lineup need replacing, and who do you replace them with? Starting lineup. I guess the back four and the goalie we're not changing. I'll probably change the number 6. In fact, listen, I'll be honest with you, I think I'll change the whole midfield. I think Maddison's flopped. Bentancur's not fit. We don't have a number 6. and I'd change the entire front three except for Son. So that's 5 players I'd change. That's 5 players. Who would I change them with? Blimey, I'd love. Thing is, I can give you names, but it doesn't matter because I don't know who Spurs are going to get. I never thought we'd win Timo Werner. I mean, that's just unbelievable. As a number 6, I think as a safe bet, Paulinho, only because he's Premier League proven. You need some stability of not needing to bed the player in. In terms of that midfield player, number 8. I'd love Chiesa at Spurs, I know he's not a number 8, but I'd love Chiesa at Spurs, but I don't think we're not gonna go for Chiesa. No chance. Kvaratskhelia, 100% I'd want him. I think he's a brilliant football player. He's even going to be playing in the Euros. He got Georgia into the Euros, so that's a player I'd definitely bring in. I'm trying to think of a good number 8. Do you know who I really like? Mane Kone at Mönchengladbach. I think that's, for me, he's a Moussa Dembele. I'd love him. Paulinho, Mane Kone, Kvaratskhelia, for me, now we're talking. And then across the front three, be the wide player. Cates is the one I want, but I know we're not going to get him. And then as a striker, I think that's the hardest position to fill. I think that's such a difficult role to fill because there's a lack of them. If we got Ivan Toney, I wouldn't be against it, although I don't think he's actually the answer. Striker's the only one I'm not sure of. It's the only one I'm not too sure of. Matt, what about you? Starting lineup, what would you change? Who would you bring in?
I wouldn't necessarily use the word change. I would look at additions to make it a competition to start. So you go into that dressing room.
I hear what you're saying, but the question is, if you were to change the starting player, would you?
Okay.
And what position? And
what would I? Okay, so I think I like Palacios from Leverkusen, and I think he can play dual roles. He can play the more holding midfield, and he can also go and support the front three. So I think he automatically improves the Tottenham midfield. And the front three is, for me, the area of the pitch that needs the most immediate attention. And that could be, sometimes I look at Spurs and I think we finished 5th with that forward line. It's mystifying. With all the deficiencies that we've got in that attacking area, we still finished 5th and we still scored more goals than we did the season before with Kane and Son. So you could draw 10 names, automatically improves that Tottenham front three. Dominic Solanke automatically improves that number 9 position. Mamouche automatically improves that Tottenham front three. Obviously, Elise, Brian Mbeumo for Brentford automatically improves that Tottenham front three. There's 10 names you could call, automatically makes Tottenham a more potent front three. So for me, that's why I was slightly optimistic, Style, about this season, because I was thinking with all the gaps in our attacking lineup, we still finish 5th. If you upgrade 2 out of the 3, not all 3, just 2 out of the 3, and you've got players that can make and take chances, add 15, 18, 20 goals to that front 3, where does that take Spurs? So that's why for me it's easy. It should be easy. Go and get Ivan Toney. Go and get Dominic Solanke. Go and get Jimenez. Go and get Boniface. There's a list of them. Automatically upgrade Richarlison. Automatically. Look at Aston Villa. Not only did they have Bailey, they went and got Diaby. So it's not a question of, yeah, but where's he going to play? Villa didn't care. They still got Diaby. And then it's up to Bailey and Diaby to battle it out. That's what Tottenham have to do. Get players, 2 players for every position, and fight it out. the performance will dictate who starts, not the price tag. Then Brendan Johnson's got a decision to make. I either up my game or I'm going to have to go out on loan in the season. It's easy. Improve the playing staff.
Been banging on about it for how many years? Quality, not quantity. I say it all the time. I'm bored of saying the same thing because people think that Timo Werner is a good bit of business. I give up.
Jimmy, just to say, I don't think Solanke is, top level centre forward, by the way. I'm not saying that. But firstly, he very rarely misses football matches. And secondly, in that Bournemouth team, he led the line. We haven't got a player that leads the Tottenham line. Richarlison's a hybrid.
Matt, do you know the issue we've got? We've been blessed, right? Sheringham and Lineker. Sheringham and Klinsmann. Defoe, Keane,
Berbatov.
Kane, Son. Unless we bring in anything of those levels, we're just going to see it as,
Yeah.
And that's what happens. This is what happens when you sell your best player and you don't even come close to replacing him. This is what happens.
Ollie Watkins had agreed to join
way he'll leave
Tottenham. No, I'm about when he was at Brentford. He agreed to join Tottenham.
We could say that about Kvaratskhelia. We could say that about Jack Grealish. We could say about so many players that we missed out. We could write a list as long as our arm on this. But I'm talking about once we knew Kane was gone, what did we do about it? Nothing. We've done nothing about it. And that's totally. And that's why now totally. Archibald.
Now you're talking. What a player, Steve Archibald. What a player. He went to Barcelona. How does that happen? He went to Barcelona. What a player Steve Archibald was.
One more question, and there's a new piece about Spurs recruitment in the Athletic this morning. Was there anything that you were unaware of or surprised? This is from Marlon Blake. Marlon, I'll be honest with you. I don't read the Athletic. I refuse to read anything from a big publication unless they've worked in the industry. Now, maybe they have. I don't know. But the ones that I read haven't. As far as I'm aware, they're just journalists. So I don't read the Athletic. So I don't know what was said. Matt, are you aware of anything that was written in the Athletic?
No.
About the Spurs recruitment team? No. Marlon, we can't ask you a question. We haven't read the article.
What did they say? I
don't know.
Enlighten us. What was said in the article?
He put this online 3 hours ago. He's not in the chat now. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, if he's in the chat, he's not commenting. So I don't know. There is another question here from Anthony. We'll do this one instead. Do you think Ange would have more chance of success under a different ownership at this club, or is he out of his depth regardless? I think every manager would be more successful under a different ownership. As long as ownership isn't, a Mike Ashley ownership. It has to be any ownership that's ambition for on-field success. I think all of our managers. I don't know an ownership that would have sat Mourinho with 5 days before a cup final, for example. I don't know who would have done that. I don't know any club that does that. I think, but it's also too early to judge Ange. It's still slightly. Well, no, actually, he signed Timo.
Look at what's happening now with the Man City. Man City are now allegedly suing or whatever with the Premier League, and now Villa are joining forces with them, and that tells you that Aston Villa are trying to release the purse strings because they've realised they're in a Champions League, and they've realised that if they can get some traction with Man City and it reduces his PSR and so on and so on. Aston Villa want to throw some serious money at this transfer window. So whether it gets approved or whatever else, as an Aston Villa fan, you're thinking, you know what? At least this ownership model are trying, the intent's there. They're going to try and go for it big in the transfer window. Then you look at the owners that are trying to suppress it, which is Daniel Levy, because he doesn't want people to be able to. He doesn't want that because that puts him under pressure. So he wants more legislation. He wants more restrictions. So it makes it very difficult for people to spend serious money so he doesn't get exposed. So it's clear for everybody to see. Daniel Levy wants as much stipulations and red tape so that there's a 80 million net spend every transfer window. And he goes, phew. If they open the floodgates and clubs can spend 200, 300 million a transfer window, he's under pressure. He wants that suppressed. Villa don't, because Villa, like Arsenal, want to win trophies. Our ownership model just wants us around it. That's all. Get me fourth or fifth, you're good.
The illusion that we're doing something, but we actually end up with nothing. Just reading, I'm sick of all these breaking news stories. I can't. It's just they're not even true. Just seeing if there's any questions posted on Twitter as well. Let's have a look. I think there's one from Daryl Denton. Big up to Daryl. He says, is getting a great assistant manager the most important signing now to help Ange? If Ange doesn't last the distance, we don't get Ryan Mason as interim. So he's saying, do we need to get in an assistant manager now? Otherwise, if Ange doesn't last, then it's going to be Ryan Mason. I think Ange needs a better coaching team overall, personally. I think some of the coaches we've got are just, what have they done? What have they ever achieved? I mean, Ryan Mason should not be at this club anymore. This emotional sympathy attachment that we have is so sickening to watch. The guy's never won a thing in his life. He's never been an elite footballer. He's never played at a level where you say, do you know what, you were... Doesn't mean you can't be a good coach, but I watch him do press interviews. He's so boring. Where's the personality? Where's the character? There's no... I don't know. He seems to be here under every manager that fails, Ryan Mason. No, I'm not just going to Jedinak. What is Jedinak doing at Spurs? I mean, really?
Yeah, I think obviously the Australian connection with Ange is there to see. Let's see. Look, September the 1st, I said to you a couple of weeks ago, let's assess this properly come September the 1st when the transfer window shuts. It's silly season. Anybody and everybody has been linked with Tottenham. Let's see. I'm hoping there's a few rabbits that come out the hat. I'm hoping.
There has to be, otherwise we're in for a long season next year. That's for sure. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We are going to wrap it up because, like I said earlier, I've got an appointment I need to be to. Don't forget to vote for us. The link for this voting form is attached to the top of the comment. And the two categories you want to pick are equality, diversity, and inclusion, and the best football club Premier League. On the form, it looks like that. Tick those boxes. Much appreciated. Help us win so that we can go on the stage. Well, I'll go on stage and just go Levy out rant at the YouTube Awards. I don't care. It'll be fun. So, yeah, please vote for us. Much appreciated. Matt. Oh, by the way, next week, guys, we're not here because I'm away for 3 days. But the following week, we'll be back. So next Friday, we're just going to take a little break and then we'll be back after that in case you look for us next Friday. Matt, your final words. The Euros start today, man. The Euros start. Some football.
Yeah, can't wait. Looking forward to it. just hoping for some really good football matches. And let's see what we do. Let's see what England do. But yeah, looking forward to tonight.
Tonight, is it Germany, Scotland?
Yeah.
Is it just the one game tonight, or is it?
Yeah, just the one game tonight. Obviously, Germany are the hosts, aren't they? So they play first, and then I'm not sure who's playing tomorrow. But yeah, can't wait.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Big up, everyone in the chat. Who's this? Bonnie Scotland. Big up. All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the start of the Euros. Let's hope we get some signings sooner rather than later at Spurs. But until then, look after yourselves. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back on Monday, our Monday show, and then Friday show. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Have a good one.
The first game